Well, there are probably, a number of reasons, but probably the most significant reason that it's important, it is all about public safety. When these folks are coming out of the institutions back to our communities, it's about making them more viable in their communities, safer places to come back to. So it's really a matter of public safety for the state of Missouri.
Reentry is so important to the state of Missouri because what we know is that 97% of those incarcerated will return home to their communities. And what reentry and evidence-based practices reminds us is that in addition to the structure and accountability that historically corrections departments have provided, we really need to be able to provide systems and structures to support inmates releasing from the community or probationers working to integrate into their community even if they haven't been formally removed. It takes both that structure and that support to help people make a sustainable change that can assist them in going back to their communities as productive law-abiding citizens.
Well, with Missouri DYS, we believe that all young people have the potential to become productive citizens and to lead a fulfilling life. We do a great job of supporting young people in our residential programs with really turning their lives around, having the types of supports that they need to become successful. But when they leave, it's almost like stepping off a cliff. And without effective reentry services, many of those young people will not reach their potential. And for some of them, it's literally a matter of life and death.
Reentry is important because reentry affects everyone. Reentry affects the individuals who are returning from incarceration, their families, and the communities that they go back to. Reentry involves everyone, and it affects our communities in ways that are unimaginable. Reentry is important because it is part of the fabric of how we knit communities and knit individuals together for the greater good and ensure that we've got productive and effective citizens across the state of Missouri.
Well, reentry is important. We have close to 70,000 individuals that are on probation and parole supervision throughout the state of Missouri. Reentry is important because it helps us work with the community to help the offenders that we supervise make different choices and decisions. We help them make decisions and choices in terms of being pro-social, help them with employment, help them with substance abuse, help them help themselves along with enhancing their family relationships.
Reentry is important to the state of Missouri because it provides the perfect intersection between government, community-based organizations, and also funding organizations. It's a way to enhance the services that are being provided in local communities. It also allows for evidence-based practices to be applied whenever possible to better assist in reducing recidivism rates.
Well, reentry is very, very important to the state of Missouri. We have a huge population of offenders that will be coming back into the community. And with the reentry and the reentry conference, it gives the corrections department an opportunity, along with the community-based departments, an opportunity to get together and work together and formulate plans on how we're going to provide services for the populations that are reentering back into our community. It is quite important that as you move forward with a plan, that we be somewhere like on the same page. We'll get the opportunity, we also have an opportunity to look at outcomes, to look at what produces good outcomes, look at barriers, look at ways to bring down barriers, or at least ways to help the offender to understand how to operate within the confines of those barriers. And working together is what this conference allows us to do so that we're on the same page when we're working with our populations that are coming back into the community.
The 2011 Reentry Conference is important because it brings like-minded folks who are focused on the work of reentry together. And it's a time for, as I referenced in my comments, it's a time for us to kind of celebrate our successes, but to think about where we've been, how far we've come in this work, and also to renew our commitment to the effort in Missouri because it takes so much collaborative work to make this to work in Missouri.
It's a very important component of the work that we do. Obviously, as the conference theme indicates, this work needs to be evidence-based and life-changing. So we're certainly looking to the evidence. We're certainly looking into our own practices and looking to provide our staff with the tools and resources that they need to be as effective as they can be. But the partnership element is really a hallmark of the reentry philosophy and movement in the state of Missouri, and this conference gives people an opportunity to come together, share ideas, share thoughts, share struggles and successes to continue to build those systems around our state. Really through coming together and having those conversations, both the conversations where we celebrate and the conversations where we problem solve, we continue to step forward in this philosophy. And this conference gives an unprecedented opportunity to do that. It grows every year, and I think that's a direct testament to the continuing support and excitement and need for us to come together as partners to address these issues.
Well, you know, the best approaches for reentry are a combination of top-down and bottom-up strategies. Conferences such as this bring people together across the spectrum of reentry services. We learn a lot from what people are doing in their communities, from what our partners are doing in the communities. We also learn a lot from best practice and evidence-based approaches that are being implemented nationally or are being piloted in our state.
Conferences are a way to step out of the box. Every day, every one of us are in our daily grind of working on the projects and the programs that we're working on. Conference allows us to come out of that box, to learn from each other, to learn from other fields, and to engage in best practice learning and evidence-based practice learning so that we can all do our jobs better, more efficiently, and take back with us some ways that we can feel rejuvenated about the work that we do.
Well, it's important to bring everybody together for a number of reasons. One, best practices. Each community has developed practices and programs and strategies that they use to help the offender population. What we're able to do at conferences such as this is to share those practices, to learn from each other, to learn what works, and then to go back to our own communities and put those practices into work. It's a collective process. We can't do this. Corrections cannot do this alone. We need the community. We need the substance abuse community, the employment community, the mental health community, and general members of the community themselves to help us with this collective issue of helping our clients become proactive and pro-social.
The general purpose is to leverage resources, to leverage ideas, to leverage ways to improve the outcomes for Missouri's offenders, and also it provides an opportunity to do networking from across the state of Missouri. Rural meeting with urban, urban meeting with rural, and sharing best practices and sharing ideas that may work in some communities and can be replicated.
There's another value to the Reentry Conference. Conferences give you an opportunity to disseminate information centered around best practices. When other people working with the population can get information that comes from best practices, then those organizations are more likely to move forward doing good work with the populations that they serve. It is really important that the information be disseminated that relates to best practice, how to do a best practice, as well as how to evaluate to make sure that you are getting good work, good outcomes.